Have you ever wondered what makes British fish and chips so British? It feels like it was invented by a guy named Nigel, wearing a Union Jack vest, right after tea with the Queen. But here's a little secret, a twist in the tale that might surprise you. The chips part, the fried potatoes, were likely brought to the UK by French-speaking Belgian immigrants. And the fried fish? That culinary genius came from Jewish refugees fleeing persecution in Portugal and Spain. That's right. One of the most iconic British meals is actually an immigrant story served in a newspaper cone. It's a delicious reminder that the things we consider fundamentally ours often have a passport with more stamps than we realize. This isn't just about food though, it's a pattern you see everywhere once you start looking. The foundations of Western culture are filled with these hidden contributions, these quiet arrivals that changed everything without anyone really noticing at the time. Let's talk about the big one, the classic. The argument you hear at every family barbecue where your uncle has had one too many, "They're coming here and taking our jobs." It's a powerful line. It's simple, it's scary, and it feels true, especially when times are tough. The logic seems straightforward. There's a limited number of jobs like slices of a pizza. But what if that's not how the economy actually works? What if, by arriving, immigrants don't just take a slice of the pizza, what if they make the pizza bigger? Here's a secret economists know but don't always explain well. Immigrants are not just workers, they are also consumers. They need to buy groceries. They need a place to live, so they rent or buy a house, they need haircuts, they buy clothes for their kids, they go out for dinner. All of this spending creates demand. That demand, in turn, creates jobs. But then there's the other side of the coin, the one we rarely talk about. Immigrants are often incredibly entrepreneurial. They are more likely to start new businesses than the native-born population. These businesses don't just provide a living for the immigrant family, they hire people, local people. So while one person might see a job taken, the reality is often that several new jobs were just created down the street. Let's be honest, one of the best side effects of immigration is what it does to our food. Can you imagine a world without it? In America, you'd be stuck with, well, what exactly? Boiled turkey and potatoes? In the UK, it would be a culinary landscape without curry, which is now considered a national dish. Food is often the first ambassador of a new culture. It arrives, it sets up shop on a street corner, and it wins people over one delicious bite at a time. You might start by trying pho from a Vietnamese restaurant that opened in your neighborhood. At first, it's just a tasty soup. But then you get curious. You learn the difference between pho and ramen. You might learn a few words like "come on" for thank you, but this delicious revolution isn't always smooth. Sometimes there's a bit of, let's call it creative adaptation. This is how you end up with things like the sushi pizza in Canada or the spaghetti bolognese that Italians swear they've never seen in Italy. And this goes beyond just restaurants. Go into any Western supermarket today. The spice aisle is a United Nations of flavors. This wasn't the case 50 years ago. Immigration doesn't just change what's on your plate, it changes what comes out of your mouth. Language is a living thing. When people from different places live together, their languages start to mingle. A teenager in London might use slang that has its roots in Caribbean or Nigerian communities without even knowing its origin. Of course, this linguistic mixing can create challenges. Communication can be tricky. When a new wave of immigrants arrives, there's an immediate need for translators, for multilingual signs in hospitals and government offices. But the most fascinating part is how this shapes the next generation. The children of immigrants often become linguistic acrobats. They navigate multiple languages and cultures with an ease that is astounding. Let's zoom in on a real-world example. In 2015, Germany took in over 1 million refugees, mostly from Syria, Iraq, and Afghanistan. One small town, Goslar, in northern Germany, became a microcosm of this national experiment. Goslar was a town in decline. It was beautiful, historic, but it was aging. Young people were leaving, schools were closing, and the population was shrinking. The town was slowly fading away. Then the refugees arrived. Goslar took in about 1,000 asylum seekers, a significant number for a town of 50,000. The empty apartments in town started to fill up. The local schools, some of which were on the verge of closing due to a lack of students, suddenly had full classrooms again. This didn't just save the schools, it saved the jobs of the teachers and staff who worked there. The local economy got a small but noticeable jolt. The newcomers needed to buy things, and government funds provided to support them were spent in local shops. The town, which had been getting older and emptier, suddenly had the sounds of children playing in the parks again. So after all this, what is the shocking truth about how immigration shapes the West? Perhaps it's this. Immigration acts like a giant mirror. It doesn't just change the country, it reveals what the country already is. It exposes our strengths and our weaknesses, our generosity and our prejudices, the vibrancy of our economies and the cracks in our social safety nets. The arrival of newcomers forces a society to look at itself and ask fundamental questions. Who are we? What do we stand for? And is there enough room at our table for one more chair? The challenges are real. We've seen how it can strain resources, create social friction, and put pressure on wages in certain sectors. But the benefits, as we've also seen, are profound and often hiding in plain sight. They remind us that culture is not a static monument to be preserved under glass, but a living, breathing river that is constantly being fed by new streams. So, the next time you hear a debate about immigration, maybe think beyond the simple good or bad framework. Think about the mirror. What are we seeing about ourselves in our reaction to the stranger? The story of immigration isn't really about them. It's about us. And the final, most important question it asks is not, who should we let in, but who do we want to become?